Good morning, friends. Today I have the pleasure of having with me Kapil Bharati, co-founder of Delhivery. As a founder, I'm sure he's experienced a lot of those labor pains which the Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem goes through. And I'd love to sort of talk to him about that.
Sure.
But Kapil, thank you and welcome
Thank you.
to our annual CEO survey.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You know, the survey is something that we do every year. It's a global survey, and we release the findings in Davos uh, every year. Last year, when we did this survey and we released the findings, it was quite evident that in businesses were very upbeat last year. There was also a huge amount of expectation as to what might happen in the West, considering some very business-friendly policies that were expected. As it's turned out, 2025 has been very different with a lot of disruptions, not just geopolitical and related to tariffs and so on and so forth, but also I would say related to the huge advancements that technology has shown in this disrupted world, if I may call it so. How do you see not 25? We won't talk about 25, but how do you see the future?
Interesting. So, and if I keep, India is the focus right now, I think given the geopolitical disruption that we're seeing, I think broadly we will be stable is what my understanding is. I think we'll continue to grow between 6.5 to 8%.
Right.
I think that more or less should be fine. I think there's certain reasons for that, which we see. If I think about it, there are the right amount of we have sustained investments in the infrastructure, in the physical infrastructure, the warehouses, roadways, and that is giving a boost to the economy. There were certain reforms that the government had pushed in late September, the GST reforms, for example. Then there are new labor policies coming in.
Yes.
I think together there will be the right catalyst to fuel some of the consumption in the coming years, and we'll start seeing the impact in the next year and so on. Also, some of the things that we see around the trade with Europe, the relationship with China is finally we're breaking the ice over there again, and hopefully some of those trends which we see next year onwards may not be as hot 25 looked out, but some challenges still remain. I think the geopolitical tension that you called about, that's one. There's a persistent overhang about the border situation, which always keeps playing. The uncertainties around the US, India, the tariff situation, that is also there. But I think despite that, hopefully things should be stable, is what I sense. But if I double down into the logistics sector where we play in, we're a $200 billion sector, and it's vital to a country like any other large sector, be it healthcare, education, finance. I think that will continue to grow, is our sense. This sector deploys, I think, around 20 million odd people, and we will continue to see a lot more growth over there. There is sustained, capital investment going into infrastructure, and we're seeing some of the fruits coming out of it. We see some of the efficiencies coming out of it. And as this sector grows, and especially some of the policies again over here, the NLP, the National Logistics Policy, the Jan Shakti program, where Jan Shakti is focusing more on the physical infrastructure, getting road and the railway infrastructures together, the 16 different departments together, trying to simplify things. And the NLP is coming with the right policy, the right digital framework. All of these things will push the formalization of this sector. And I think players like us who are across the entire different spectrum of the logistics will definitely benefit a lot from there. So overall, yes, 25 went ahead the way it went. There were a lot of expectations. Overall, I'm pretty positive. I think the net positive will definitely take over.
Wonderful. I think that's good to hear. What is the role that technology is playing for you today? And do you believe that it is going to be a key differentiator in this logistics sector on a go-forward basis?
Absolutely. That's how we started in 2011. If I, go back again 14, 15 years back, one of the interesting things we saw that when a new technology comes in and when people think about investing in technology, especially at a C level, Logistics is the last place where somebody's going to put in the money, right? Most of the money goes in sales, marketing, places where we can grow the business.
Yeah, it looks more obvious.
It moves obvious. You can put in the money and you can see the investment working out.
Right.
But logistics is a sector where you have to be patient.
Yeah.
You have to invest the money and it takes time.
Yeah.
But once you build the right investment in the right technology, the right infrastructure, you see that playing out.
Yeah.
In our journey, if I go back, when we started looking at this sector, the first thing was to bring in transparency.
Yeah.
Do I know where my inventory is? Especially and we entered with e-commerce. E-commerce was the play how we entered this industry. And last mile used to be a big challenge for the industry way back in 2011. The question was how many shipments were given to me, how many got delivered, where are they right now, are they in this city, are they in this facility? Most of our job was to just replace the paper mechanism. Way back, people used to, every time goods would come in, they would get a paper sign and they would check boxes every place.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the step one was, we said, okay, the technology is going to be an assistant to people. Instead of, I'll replace the paper with technology. So, just scan everything. And it took a while for people to get used to scanning every shipment, putting barcodes or, some digital information on the boxes. But that was the starting point. Once we had that information collected, we started collecting more and more data. So we had data on what are we moving, how we are scanning the boxes. Then we had data on who are we delivering to, that is the end customers. Where are we picking from? Right. And what are we delivering?
Right.
Those were 3-4 key fundamental bases which we said, okay, now we have enough data that we collected. Can I do more about my addresses, my location? Can I start guiding people on the ground on how to move the boxes instead of just being an assistant? So that was the next step for our technology point of view.
Right.
And now we have enough data where, for example, like just this year in October, we did 100 million shipments. So given that the kind of volume that we've been looking at, the amount of information we have, our system now evolved more into a directed systems.
Right.
Where a box comes in, you put it on a conveyor belt, we know where the box is gonna go. The machines will take over, the algorithms will take over. So eventually the technology, those are some of the high level way in which we have invested in that over the years.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question about AI now. The one thing, if there is to be a criticism of AI, and maybe it's in very early days yet, it could be that we can always try it. It works in pockets, but if you have to scale it, there haven't been as much conviction about scaling a use case of AI. I do believe that in a business like yours, where scale, particularly with the consolidation, the formalization that you spoke about, it could be a great use case. Sure. So how do you think about scaling, the benefits of AI in your business?
Sure. And I'll break this question in 2 parts. One is just AI, and then it's the generative AI.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that, or sensing that generative AI is where you're talking.
Yes.
But I'll just touch briefly on the AI aspect. So I think in 2012, 2013 is when we set up our first data sciences team. We said we have enough addresses, and addresses have a lot of challenges. People just don't know how to write the right address, or we just don't have a structured address in our country. Like this building where we're sitting, we don't know the correct pin code. It's 122.001, 002. The building right next to us is a different pin code.
Absolutely.
So how do I move the goods if I don't know the addresses? So that's what our starting point was to getting into the data sciences stream. We deployed a lot of machine learning algorithms to make sense of the addresses, make sense of what we are moving, understand our customers better. And machine learning versus algorithmic approach was, I have collected a lot of data, let the machine figure out what are the right patterns and how do I then scale up things on it. Over the years, and especially in the last 2-3 years with Gen AI, it is becoming a lot more interesting because now suddenly I can tap into a lot more unstructured data.
Right.
Videos, images, handwritten notes, paper-based deliveries where we do, and extract a lot more meaningful information out there. There's also a lot of intent that the Gen AI is able to pick up from the unstructured text. For example, somebody sends an email, or there's a customer who calls us up and say, hey, this is the problem that I'm facing. All those things in real time, in near real time, I'm able to extract what is the intent, what do they want, convert into structured format, run my machine learning algos in the background, and respond back. Like I remember 4 or 5 years ago during COVID, I think that's when we did the first experiment on capturing CCTV feeds
Oh,
and identifying, am I loading the truck properly? What is the utilization of the truck?
got it.
Am I handling the boxes properly? We spent around 3 months, 4 months in perfecting the algorithm. The step one was, what is a box? Who is a human being? What is the size of the box? Is it a pallet? No, it's a box. And a lot of time just went in identifying the objects, and that's where we spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
6 months we did it, we shelved it. It doesn't make sense, too expensive, taking too much time, too much training. The same experiment we did this year, I think in April we picked it up. Within 2 weeks we had a working prototype. Within 3 to 4 weeks we launched it pan-India.
Right.
So that's where I think you start seeing the effects and the benefits that keep coming in.
Got it.
So at Gen AI, yes, it does hallucinate. It does give you responses that you love to listen to. But that's where we have to come in. We have to make sure we put in the right guardrails, we tweak it, we tune it, have the right prompts, have the right agents when it means to review it or judge the response, and have those checks and balances in place. I think we're also learning.
Yeah.
We cannot take its output as granted.
Yeah.
We're also used to working with systems that are more deterministic in nature. They tell us this is either A or B. We still think in if-else kind of loops. Our product teams think in a similar fashion. But the generative AI, the answers can be plenty. There is, one has to look at probabilistically what is the most optimal solution and then deploy the right solution. Right. So yes, we are still learning, but I am pretty confident that it will change and shape.
Right.
I think as individuals, our productivities have really gone up.
Yeah.
All of us use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
All of us use, different versions of Perplexity.
That's true.
But I think in the enterprise space, I think next year we'll start seeing the interface getting better.
Right.
People able to see, outside of customer support, people should be able to see a lot more use cases coming up.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Do you see robotics playing a big role on some of this in times to come?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So going back, again, 2013 or so is when I think 2013 or around that time is when we started our first sortation system. And we worked on multiple different sortation systems by then, and we were doing maybe 10,000 shipments a day at that time. But we felt that if we have to scale and we have to, let's say, reach 1 million shipments a day.
Right.
That was way back in 2013. We need so many sorters. We need this kind of a sortation system. We do feel that the kind of scale that we see, the kind of growth that we're witnessing, robotics play a huge, huge critical role. Some of our key facilities, the one in Taru, one in Bhiwandi, in Lonad. The Bhiwandi one is 7.5 lakh square feet. And you'll see conveyor belts, you'll see AMRs, which are across the entire facility spread out, moving things around. I think that investment is required. We also have set up a robotics lab this year in Pune. We've set up an entire team, which are looking at how can we invest in the right kind of automation, which can be assistive and guided at the same time.
Right.
So it may not necessarily be just robots doing everything. It can be robots which are, there's a big trolley and the robot is sitting on a trolley and there's one person who's just walking with it. So it means I can deploy, I don't need to have people who can carry or heavy goods, but I can have anybody come in, just work with the robots and move them within the facility.
So this is called the cobots or something?
Some of the cobots, yeah. So those are some of the things we are looking at, we're experimenting with.
Yeah.
We're also experimenting with robots which can load and unload the trucks.
Right.
There are very few of them globally, but we do want to see if there are ways in which we can, at least for smaller shipments, if not for the larger boxes.
Right.
We do see that is an area where one does need to invest in.
Right.
We're also getting into financial services. Since we have a lot of information, we work with a lot of our partners, trucking partners, fleet partners, a lot of manpower vendors. Can we help them with vehicle financing, for example?
Oh, right.
Right. So those are other areas where we're seeing, which may not necessarily be directly impacting a core network, but they are help our partners or help us get better. So those areas we do, and we do see data playing a critical role over there.
But I also heard that you are now getting into drone manufacturing and drone services.
Yes, we are. So we invested in a company called TRI Robotics. They're based out of the US.
Right.
So it's a small team, and they were working on the VTOL, the vertical takeoff and landing drones. It's a huge drone. It's a 12 feet wingspan.
Right.
can carry a payload of, I think, around 5 to 10 kgs is what we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But then drones, in our opinion, is going to be more for time-critical, sensitive deliveries.
Right.
I'm not sure they're going to be for urban areas, but there are use cases that we're still evaluating.
Right.
If I need to do a particular drop within X kilometers at a certain price point, what does it mean? Can these drones do that?
Right.
So yeah, you will start seeing some of those things happening
Right.
most likely in the next year or 2 years. Yeah.
So two aspects I want to pick up when we talk about technology adoption and everything else, including AI, everything else. One is the trust factor, because that's very important. And we all want to be trustworthy at some level. And second, so how do you think about that? How do you figure out the trust element in it? And what is it that you are doing to make sure that you yourself safe and keeping your customers safe with the DPDP and so on and so forth, etc. There are so many things which are now coming in. And the second one, which is really, the last 15 months in particular, we have seen so many, because so much data on cloud and so on and so forth, with cyber becoming a big issue now. So these two issues, if you can just give us some perspective.
Just to elaborate a little bit more on that, I was talking about the proliferation of different IoT devices, right? And pretty much every truck of ours has a GPS device.
Right.
We're also looking at potentially investing in weather data, collecting weather data. Where is it raining? How much is it raining? So you'll start seeing a lot more of these multiple different sensors and devices, dash cams, etc., all over the place, right? And with 5G and hopefully with 6G coming in soon, it will become very easy to collect this information. So yes, we do collect the data, and what it also means is that the attack surface is increasing.
Yeah.
Right. And let's say if one of the nodes go down, and a lot of the algos rely on that data. If a certain section goes down, it means those algos will not be able to give the right outcome. So those things are pretty much disruptive, right? So yes, that is definitely an area where we keep looking at saying, who are the right people we are working with? What is the kind of data we are collecting? And at the source itself, are we able to validate and put the right authenticity of that information that we are collecting? If I do not get the right information, do have the right checks and balances to flag and stop it over there. Right. It's better not to get the wrong data rather than make some decision on top of it. So that's one part of it. The second is, in a logistics ecosystem, there are multiple partners who rely on each other to deliver things, and there is integrations across all different players. If one of them gets compromised, it means the entire network may get compromised.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It can be a data leakage, and now let's say the personal data leakage, and that's where DPDP is coming in. And the players are getting sophisticated. They are able to harness the information, be patient, collect data from different sources, and stitch it together to come up with sophisticated phishing attacks. I think that's where we internally have made sure that all the personal information that we capture has to be encrypted at rest, in flight, wherever. If anybody does need that information, we do need the address, for example, to go to the customer's house and deliver them the goods. But what all can I, share only at the point when it is required to the number of people who just need to see it.
Right.
So that evolution has happened over the last 5-6 years. I'll be very honest. When we started off way back in 2011, the objective was to just grow the business.
Yep.
Whatever costs, whatever it takes. And slowly we started adding checks and balances, and we learned it the hard way. And these attacks may not necessarily be from external actors. They can be from internal actors also as well. And they may not necessarily be based on certain intent. They may just happen unconsciously. External factors, they'll continue to evolve, but internally we need to make sure that our data is safeguarded, our deployments are safeguarded, our authentication are safeguarded, and invest enough over there. So that's what we have been doing.
And I think you have been doing a lot to make sure that your supply chain is very green in some way. You yourself are using, I think EVs for last mile delivery and so on and so forth. So one question really there is that with everything happening around us, has your focus on sustainability, got enhanced, or you're keeping it plateaued at this point in time? Where are you in that journey?
Sure. I think so. I'll answer the simplest things first, which are just table stakes, for example. All the large facilities, just make sure that we have these roofs covered with solar cells. Right? And then the basic thing we said, just make that happen, right? Like we have Taru, which is 3 lakh square feet, Bhiwandi, which is 7 lakh square feet. Can we just, just make sure whatever space we have, just generate energy and then pass it on back to the grid or use it internally. I think those were the simple things. EV is another area where we have been evaluating, both for intracity as well as intercity. Intercity, the pilots haven't gone that successful yet, but we are still working it out. We are still figuring out the depreciation on the batteries, what is the life in our conditions, what does it mean. But intracity is also with the right government push coming in, and for cities like Delhi NCR, for example, I think it is something which just needs to be done at whatever cost it may come.
Right.
So that is where we will continue to participate, and we'll continue to work with multiple players, just to figure out what are the right models and how do we make that happen. But the other place where I do feel, where as logistics company, one can do better, and we have invested a lot, is by looking at the fleet size. If I go back 6-7 years ago, the largest truck that we used to run would be around 32 feet, a multi-axle or mostly single axle, sorry. And there were a lot of trucks. Our partners would have 24 feet trucks, right? And the rate at which we were growing, we saw an opportunity to move towards a tractor-trailer concept. And that's where we partnered with Volvo at that time to help us design the right structure, the tractors which are suitable for us, suitable for delivery and an Indian ecosystem. We started moving to 46 feet trucks and started moving away from the smaller form factors. Right. What it means is that we were able to cut down on the fuel efficiency required. So we were able to suddenly, do a lot more shipments in less amount of fuel.
Right.
So per shipment, distance traveled, the amount of fuel burned has been going down year on year.
Wonderful.
So if you can bring in the right amount of design in your network, if you can understand or you can put the right form factor of the trucks and how do you circulate them, how do you cycle them within a network, those efficiencies, in my opinion, are a lot more, the impact is a lot bigger than just moving into EV1, EV2. The other area which we're looking at is into the LNG form factor.
Okay.
That's another fuel form which is less polluting than the diesel or the other forms. That's another interesting area we're looking at, especially the longer lanes. Can we start getting the right form of the trucks, set up our own fuel pumps for LNG, partner with the right partners over there, and then start running them. So those are some of the high-level key initiatives that we are looking at.
Right. How have you seen the generational shift and people's ability to embrace technology and upskill them? And is it really coming as a need, or is it coming as a good to do? I mean, how do you see this today?
See, I'll go back in 2011. That's when I think we were one of the first early companies on the cloud at that time. 2011, we were on the cloud, everything on the system, everything on the web. And we wanted people to make sure that they capture everything on the web.
Right.
They send emails wherever the communication was required. And a lot of people that we got from the industry at that time were not used to that kind of a working. People were not used to being told what to do. Right. They would know, okay, hey, if a shipment comes, this is how it's going to go, this is how we have to place it, that's what it is. And we would change everything fundamentally, saying, hey, if this box is coming in, today you have to put it in this area. But after 2 hours, if it comes, you have to put it in that area.
Right.
Because that's how I optimize, that's how my algos are telling me to do, right? Just, making sure people are able to understand, able to use, the right tools, handheld devices. There was some challenge at that time. And the first time we launched the mobile app for our last mile riders, we thought that, hey, it's going to be pretty challenging. People will find it difficult. That was, I think, 2014, 2015, and mobile phones were pretty much a norm by that time, and everybody was carrying those smartphones. But to our surprise, people adapted to it very quickly.
Right.
I think the great thing about technology is that as individuals, we embrace it very quickly. We quickly pick up the right things. The challenges are for enterprises, for large organizations. How can we make sure that our internal products, they are as beautifully designed and we keep our users, our operators, in mind when designing the user experience. And treat them the same way you would treat a consumer whom you are trying to sell your app to. I have to sell my app to my operator. I think that shift was what helps our people adopt our technology much faster.
Right.
I think, but if you still look at the enterprise software, the large ERPs, for example, you'll still see dull, boring form where 100 fields that have to fill. I'm like, how's the poor guy going to fill that thing?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's where, if you have the right tools and the right design, people will embrace it. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is, internally we do have programs where we do upskill people, right? It could be on the softer skills, it could be on the managerial skills, it could be how do I manage people, how do I take the right decisions. Those are some of the areas where we do invest in, and we have partnered with some of the management institutes where we have a course where we send our people, send our people also to take the course and also give lectures over there, right? So those are some of the high-level initiatives that we have launched. Yeah.
So Kapil, my last question to you, but this question is to you, the individual, Kapil, the man, and of course, successful founder. I'm sure there are many who will watch within our own organization who might aspire to be entrepreneurs themselves, but even otherwise to the youth, etc. Any 2 or 3 learnings that you have had over your journey so far, which you would like to share?
Sure. So one thing I bring up every time. Yesterday I was at my college and it's talking to people over there also. I think sitting in an engineering college, I'm telling engineers that as an engineer, as an entrepreneur, we are in love with our solutions. We typically have a solution in mind or in our hands, and then we go out looking for problems. Like just reverse that. Find the problem, then define the solution. And I know I've done that in the past. I've done those mistakes in the past. That's one tell, and especially for the engineering graduates, the technical folks, I tell them this one thing. The second one is when I used to be with the Sapient for a long time in IT consulting. And the shift when I moved away from there, when the first startup that I did, suddenly I realized that at an enterprise, things are very well defined, there are processes defined, there are different checks and balances. But when you're starting up, you have to take decisions. You have to take really tough decisions. Should I hire this
that
person?
Could be scary.
Not hire this person? Yes. Right? And maybe that's why my first startup maybe failed miserably, because it takes a while to get used to that. People just don't decide. And as a founder, as an early stage founder especially, you have to take decisions. Good, bad, wrong, doesn't matter. You have to take decision and move on. And people look up to you. And then you have to do that. I think those are 2 areas which I feel that
but you also learn. I mean, they're scary at times, but you also learn from
Absolutely.
this. And as you said, you possibly learn from a few mistakes that you made over the course of your journey. But Kapil, thank you so much. It's been so gratifying to speak to you and learn from your journey, and of course how you have transformed a space, a sector which was so dispersed, and so unstructured. And I'm sure there is more to come with technology and so many other things that you are planning to do. It's been lovely conversing, and I look forward to another conversation soon.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kapil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.